Hello and welcome to the newest episode of the New Year 6 podcast. Today I'll be kicking off my Week 3 game previews. I'm going to start off with LSU at Mississippi State today, the beginning of in-conference play for the SEC for both of these squads, both with an opportunity to prove that they're legit this year, that they can rise to the occasion. LSU wants to rebound from their Week 1 loss at FSU. Mississippi State wants to keep the ball rolling after 2 consecutive wins. And I think this is honestly speaking, this is probably the game of the week. At least what I've got written down, this is like the number one game of the week in terms of the ability to be competitive, in terms of a division rivalry, all that fun stuff. This is the best game of Week 3. So to kick it off, if you haven't watched any of these videos before, I'm going to go team by team, list out some of the keys to the game, what they do well, what I want to see improved upon. Then I'll do a final score prediction, pick a team to win, all that fun stuff. So I'm going to kick it off with LSU as the away team. What I want to see from LSU, or what I'm curious about heading into this game. I'm interested in the running game for LSU, most notably, the likely return of Emory at running back. I know there's a potential that Goodwin comes back as well, but having Emory there in that running back spot is going to be gigantic. They've missed him the last 2 games, and now he'll likely be back. But with that in mind, there's been people filling in the gaps for him since he's been out the last few games. The rushing attack has been it's 30th in the country right now, so it's been productive, it's been efficient, and it's another edge to this dual threat LSU offense here. So while a player like Emory is slated to be pretty massive in his return, ultimately there's guys like Trey Bradford that have had an impact, guys like Josh Williams who have had an impact, Noah Kane, guys like that have been present for LSU so far this season. And I'm curious how the addition of Emory back into this lineup impacts their playing time, impacts their ability, what the distribution of carries looks like. That's what I'm curious about. Obviously, you have Jaden Daniels as well, who contributes to that running game. But with the addition of Emory as a potential number 1, number 2 back, I'm interested to see how the rest of this team steps up to the occasion. They've been thin in that position already due to injury, but ultimately the results speak for themselves. They've delivered. Will they continue to deliver, knowing that they'll potentially be deeper this week with one of their top guys coming back into the rotation? Will that run game continue to accelerate? Will it be better than top 30 after this week? Will they establish themselves as one of the best running teams in the country this week, potentially, against Mississippi State? That's one thing I'm going to look at. Really interested from the roster composition point of view, what LSU looks like in terms of creating that run game against Mississippi State. In terms of the season so far, what LSU has looked like and what I want to see them continue to do against Mississippi State, they need to stay disciplined. So far, LSU has been very good from a penalty perspective. They are tied for first in penalties per game. They may have been unpenalized so far. I don't know offhand how many specifically, how many penalties that looks like, but they've been very disciplined so far. They've been very well coached so far. There have been criticisms of this team in other areas, but you can't get mad at them from a penalty perspective because they've been the top of the league right now. If they continue to stay disciplined at Mississippi State, in a hostile environment where it is going to be loud, where they're going to be having the cowbells ring in at 11 a.m., if they can continue to fight through that, LSU will win this game without issue. So just no false starts, no holds, no pass interferences, nothing that's going to make this harder for you to win. Mississippi State is always a sneaky good team. They're a team that is far less talented than probably every team in the SEC West, but they find themselves above 500 just about every single year. LSU penalizing themselves and giving free opportunities for Mississippi State will be a key reason as to why why LSU doesn't win. So if LSU can stay disciplined, stay focused, straight in the arrow and mind on eye on the ball there, LSU is going to win this game. Mississippi State is not as talented as FSU. They're not as talented as some of the other rosters that LSU is going to face this year. So if LSU can go into a hostile environment, stay disciplined, focused, and ready to go, they're going to win this game. On top of that, what I want to see LSU get better at and improve on is the passing defense. So far this year, that secondary has looked real bad. They're outside the top 100 in passing defense this year. That would, I think a lot of that has contributed to Jordan Travis at FSU tearing them up. But at the end of the day, LSU is going to need to establish their defensive backs against a team like Mississippi State. They need to lock it down. Mississippi State is a run-first offense. I think we all kind of collectively know that. And if LSU's if their DBs don't show up against Mississippi State, they're not going to show up against Alabama. They're not going to show up against Ole Miss. They're not going to show up against Texas A&M. They're not going to show up against Florida. They're not going to show up against Arkansas. Teams that are higher caliber and more talented than what Mississippi State brings to the table at that point of the ball. So I want to see those DBs come alive. I want to see the type of play that we can get from a guy like Deuce Chestnut or Andre Sam or Zy Alexander, the Major Burns, Greg Brooks, all those guys that have such a high level of potential and bring so much to the table. They really haven't done it so far this year. If they can against a good opponent on the road, LSU's going to win, and I don't think it's going to be particularly close if that's the case. So with that in mind, I want to pass it over to Mississippi State for a second and focus on their keys to the game here. Ultimately speaking, while Mississippi State is a run-first team, I'm curious as to the depth of the receiver room. That's what really interests me, knowing that they have 2 tight ends out for the year with eligibility issues, and that creates a strain on your receiver room, knowing that you're going to have to go to potentially a third-string tight end if that option opens up. So I want to see what happens with those second-string guys, maybe in the receiver room, having someone over the middle as a crossing receiver there. So a guy like Freddie Robertson or Creed Whittemore, a true freshman coming in looking to make an impact. How do those guys get utilized against LSU, knowing that LSU's pass defense has struggled so far this year? Can it be the time for Mississippi State to open up the playbook and get guys like that into the discussion and into the game plan, knowing that LSU knows to load the box and just take down Jaquavius Marks? If you can open up that depth at your receiver position, throw some stuff at LSU that they're not seeing, Mississippi State could pull it off at home. It's a very real possibility. Other than that, looking at what Mississippi State has done well, the turnover margin. Will Rogers is not turning the ball over. The DBs and the D-line and linebackers on Mississippi State are making plays. Those types of things are going to be crucial against a top-level opponent like LSU. If you can take the ball away from LSU and take an opportunity away from them, and it's something that LSU they're all right at. They're kind of middle of the road when it comes to turnover margin. But Mississippi State being near the top of the top of the country at turnover margin means they're not giving the ball away, and they are creating takeaways for this team. So if Mississippi State can continue to do that, play smart offensively, make a big play on defense to give your offense a short field and create that turnover, Mississippi State is going to have a real shot at winning. It's not out of the equation. We just want to see what that QB can do. I want to see what those DBs can do, what that D-line can do, and how they put it all together against a tough LSU team at home. In terms of where Mississippi State has struggled this year and where I'd like to see them do better, especially against LSU, it's kind of a mirror of where LSU has struggled, where LSU struggles on the passing defense. Mississippi State struggles to establish a passing offense. I've been very high on Will Rogers in the past. So far, he has not delivered to that capacity. Now, I know it is a run-first offense, and that impacts the type of play that Will Rogers can have as a passer. But knowing that LSU's weakness is the passing defense, their rushing defense is not much to write home about either. It's just a little bit better so far for this year. But if Mississippi State can establish a passing game against an LSU defense that can't defend a passing game, Mississippi State will have options. If it's 3rd and 2 and you can hit a short route over the middle, or you can just run up the gut for a first down, it opens up your playbook. If instead of run first, run second, and then it's a 3rd and 6 and I have to throw it and I'm not confident in my receivers to make the play, that's going to be a problem. But if Mississippi State can throw early and throw LSU kind of off their rhythm, get that play calling established, get the passing offense established, Mississippi State could pull it off. It's a very real possibility. I think this is going to be a close game. Mississippi State is never out of it. They always play any team that they're playing. They go hard against them. I don't think LSU is going to overlook Mississippi State. I think if they were 2-0, maybe they might. But LSU needs a big bounce back win, a moral victory, whatever they need to do to establish themselves and let them know that the season's not over. So with that in mind, I will be picking my winner for the game so far. So LSU is the favorite. They are favored by 9.5 points, and the total is 54. I am going to take LSU to win this game. I do think it's going to be a close one. I think Mississippi State covers, and I'll hit the over on 54. I think that's the bet you take. I think the offenses are going to be a little bit more prolific this game than what we've seen in the past of either of these two teams. I'm going to say LSU 34. I'm going to say Mississippi State 32. A close one, goes down to the wire. It may be a last-second field goal, but LSU has a big opportunity to remain in that top 25. I think they'll have their hands full, not because LSU is a bad team necessarily, but because Mississippi State is underrated. So when that all comes together, LSU gets a big win on the road. It's probably not to the degree that their fan base is looking for. I know the fan base probably wants a fairly large margin of victory, probably more than that 9.5. But I think it's just the virtue of LSU going on the road, early time start, 11 a.m. kickoff is not easy, and all coming together where Mississippi State plays hard for Zach Arnett. They play hard for their fans in front, their home crowd, and they give LSU the business. But LSU ends up eking out just by virtue of that talent. They do have a good coach, and they put it together in a way where that offense kind of comes together this year. I don't think the defense stands up as much as LSU would like, but they do enough to get the win and get you ready for Week 4. So that is my thought on Mississippi State versus LSU this year. What are your thoughts? What are your keys to the game? Who do you think wins? Comment down below. But other than that, thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in today. Next video I'll be doing is Kansas State versus Mizzou. That's going to be the second of my 5 Week 3 preview videos. So tune into that and all the rest that I've got coming this week. Thank you all for your time. And Week 3 is right around the corner. So get excited because we got a good one coming up.